What you're about to watch is part of an online training that I do twice a month inside my Movement Makers program, where I coach entrepreneurs like you how to build an online movement, how to make money from it, and use it to make a huge impact on the world. Enjoy. Today is going to be a little bit different because in the process of us doing these challenges for the past 3 months, where it's solo video, collaboration video, and lead magnet, one of the biggest areas that have seemingly held everybody up, or a good chunk of people, is around doing the lead magnet, getting the website set up. How do I tie that into my email system? It doesn't have to look fancy, it just has to work, and people don't really seem to know how to do it. So a lot of questions have been popping up, a lot of DMs, a lot of Discord messages, and it got to the point where Drew messaged me to say, hey, I think I'm gonna make some videos in December teaching the movement makers how to actually do it step by step, just on his own time. Gotta love Drew. This is not his business. Drew's helping people with their YouTube channels. But just because so many people have asked, he was going to make these videos step by step, teaching people how to do it. And then the number one topic for this month was about figuring out the tech side and launching your landing pages and being able to capture email addresses and sell your product, etc. So I messaged Drew and said, hey, Drew, how about you just do it live? How about you do it live in front of everybody? And so the point of this session is Drew's going to take us through how do you set up your landing pages to be able to capture email addresses, to be able to launch your products in ClickFunnels and in Kajabi. He's going to go relatively quickly through it, but the goal is that you have this recording so that if you want to do it yourself or give it to somebody as well, they could go back, watch it, pause, unpause, pause, unpause. So you have the step-by-step guide on how to do it. So are you guys ready? We're going to hand it over to Drew and learn about how to get our pages set up. Let's give Drew some magic hand love. Let's go, Drew.
Okay, so I have basically been tasked with building all of your guys' business all at the same time in about 45 minutes. So what I did is I actually went ahead and set up a couple of landing pages in both platforms. And I kind of wanted to walk through a lot of people, when they get into these tools, they're like, there are hundreds of buttons here. I don't know what any of this stuff does. How do I think through this? So what I wanted to do in this session specifically was make sure that you guys understand how the builders work and understand the pieces and elements and what all needs to be hooked up in order to make things work properly, as well as give you some point you in the direction of where you can actually get additional training within ClickFunnels or Kajabi, so that if you want to go deeper in any particular area, since obviously we have very limited time here, where you can go and actually go deeper. What I first wanted to start walking through is just the overall builder, how it works. And if you've done any website development or anything building websites at all, a lot of builders are structured the same way. But it's just a matter of knowing kind of the language of what each tool uses in order to kind of communicate the things that, the elements on the page. So in ClickFunnels, there are kind of like 3 different layers within each page. You've got sections, which are this green border, where this section defines basically the horizontal space that you see on the page. You've got a blue section, which is the kind of the columns. So green is your row, blue is your columns. So this is a single column. If I wanted to come down here and add a new row that has multiple columns, I have plenty to choose from. So for instance, this down here is a 2-column. You've got text on the left-hand side, form on the right-hand side. And then as you go into each column, you'll have an orange border, which represents the element that you're looking at. So if you wanted to add an element, you just click on, you can either click on the little plus button here, or you can come up here. I typically am just like hands on the editor rather than using these sections up here. Whatever feels right to you, either way works.
One other quick thing here too, Drew, is you can see mobile. So it's 2 columns on desktop, but that's going to be 1 column on the phone. And at
Correct.
the top left, there's a little toggle to go mobile. If you click on that, you can see what it actually looks like on the phone. which is what you guys want to be designing around, because most people will visit your landing page from their phone, most likely not the desktop. So just always make sure you click on the phone toggle to see what it looks like mobile before you publish.
Yeah. Now, if for whatever reason you kind of going a little bit more deeper into the weeds with this. So whenever I'm designing a funnel in ClickFunnels, typically I will start desktop and then migrate that to mobile, see how it translates. And then I will go back and reassess the arrangement of things on the mobile side. Now, one thing that you can do is with any section or element or row, you can actually create that thing that only shows on desktop and only shows up on mobile. So if you don't like the way that something looks, you can simply, so right now, when I built this standard, the way that it organizes the content on the desktop is you have the text on the left-hand side and then the form on the right-hand side. Typically, you want the form as high on the page as possible. So if I wanted to shift this form to be above all of the text, if I did that, it would rearrange on the desktop. And I don't want that. So what you would need to do is on the desktop, I would simply duplicate this section, clone it. I would then click on the settings for that section. And I would specify, so right now, this section is dedicated to all platforms, which means it'll show up on both. What I want to do is I only want this to show up on mobile. And then that'll flip me into mobile mode. But I don't want, right now, it basically has duplicated that section, but I don't want this top one to show up. So let's go back to desktop. This is all it's shown. I'm going to click on the settings for here. And this section here, which is currently going to both, I only want this to show up on desktop. So I'm going to specify desktop. So now if I go back to my mobile view, it'll get rid, I now only have one form. Now I can rearrange this however I want, and I can put things in the order that I want. So for this, we would basically, let's see. Now, what I'm going to need to do is I'm actually going to create a new section, because before it was a 2-column section, and I only want, since mobile is only really 1 column, I want it to be a singular column section. And then the nice thing about ClickFunnels is I have the ability to just drag and drop. So if I want to take this element and move this down to this bottom section now, I just drag it in and it moves it down to the lower. So that's what this, if you click into anything, obviously you can edit stuff, but we're just going to move these elements down because I would prefer this to be down here rather than at the top. Okay, cool. So now there's this little element folder. If I do a preview on this, let me go ahead and save. Anytime you see an element box like this, it should not translate into the preview. And then I'm going to have to, if you're ever working on a desktop and want to see what it looks like on mobile, just minimize so it's not like the full screen, and then just squeeze it down, and then it will show as if it was in mobile. So as you can see, there's a little bit of a gap up here. So if I want to fix this, it would just be a matter of going back here, going into the settings, double checking the padding at the top. I typically will get rid of most of the padding. Just kind of depends on what kind of design. So I'll just remove some of the padding here, hit save, and then that would then translate. Cool. Now, the question that you're probably asking yourself is, okay, cool. So I have these elements on the screen. I can see what it looks like. I kind of have a general feel for how things move. How does this ultimately get hooked up to an email? Well, so any form that is on a ClickFunnels page, there is a backend integration that is done where you can hook this in to any email provider that you would like. So if you're on a budget looking for something cheap and easy, MailChimp works. I personally am a big fan of ActiveCampaign. That is the platform of my choice. I know Evan uses Aweber. It just depends on what you're familiar with. All of them essentially do exactly the same thing. Like I said, it's just a matter of what they call certain features and where certain buttons are in each platform. So me personally, I use ActiveCampaign, and ClickFunnels is a little bit different than Kajabi, where ClickFunnels is kind of like a central hub for what your pages interact with as far as your tools, your CRM, email provider, your payment processor, and all of the other different things. So think of it like a wheel and spokes. ClickFunnels is at the center of everything, and then you've got the different elements that operate your business that attach onto ClickFunnels. Whereas Kajabi, everything is kind of built in one ecosystem. And depending on how you want to structure your business, if you like flexibility where you can switch from, let's say ActiveCampaign is no longer working for you and you want to switch providers, it's very easy. With Kajabi, you're kind of stuck with the way that the email operates within Kajabi. So those are kind of the main trade-offs between the two platforms.
If you want to watch the full version of this video, as well as train live with me twice a month to help you build your movement and be around some other amazing people just like you, check out my Movement Makers program. The link to join is right there next to me. Can't wait to see you there. Continue to believe and go join.